night, my fellow St. Lucians. Good night, good night, good night, everybody. Good night, everybody. Lots of you present already. Good night to everybody. Good night, everybody. Ganesha. Folks, I may not agree with you. I may not agree with you, but I will defend. I may not agree with what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. Saint Lucia is a democratic country, and the values that we hold as Saint Lucians to our democracy are near and dear to all of us, or at least they should be. They are near and dear to me as a citizen of a democratic country, Saint Lucia, where I was born, raised, grew up. I always say I was born at Victoria Hospital. I was raised in York Hill, Leclerc, and later Riverstone, Corinth Estate. I have spent my formative years in Saint Lucia, where I've had most of my career and most of my life in Saint Lucia. I am Saint Lucian first and foremost. And as a Saint Lucian, I will defend the rights of democracy of my country. And as a Saint Lucian citizen, I will speak on any matter that affects my country. And when I see my country descending slowly or quickly into chaos, anarchy, communism, and dictatorship, I will speak out. Folks, tonight, what has me here is my outrage. My outrage at what I have been seeing in my country. And I understand that many St. Lucians at home are too intimidated and fearful of this Labour Party government to speak out. They are afraid of losing their jobs. They are afraid that things that they're entitled to, concessions that they're entitled to for their businesses, they cannot get. They are afraid that their families will be victimized. And yes, I have all those fears. Yes, I have family in St. Lucia. And I am fearful for my family and their safety and well-being under the Saint Lucia Labour Party government. But you know what drives me? More importantly than any of that is my right as a Saint Lucian citizen to defend the ideals of my country, Saint Lucia. So more importantly than any of that, I am putting myself and my family at risk to defend the ideals of my country against the Saint Lucia Labour Party government. I may not agree with what you say, but I will defend to the death your right to say it. We are a democratic country. And when this government is making moves to silence the voices of St. Lucians, we all need to sit up and take note. And we all need to push back against this government. When this government is under pressure and their response, instead of performing, is to bully and intimidate St. Lucians into silence, we all need to take a collective stance. Not Flubbo, not Labour. We all as St. Lucians need to push back and say no. No. No matter what party we support, no matter what our political affiliation, this cannot be allowed to take root in our sweet St. Lucia. That's why I'm leading the charge. I am shocked by the statements made by Speaker of the House of Parliament, Claudius Francis, on his talk show last night. I am shocked and appalled. And that's why I'm here tonight. And I want to play those statements for you to give you context to what I am saying. This is St. Lucia's Speaker of the House, who holds one of the highest offices in our land, one of the most powerful offices, as he likes to boast, in our land. This is Claudius Francis. Just give me 1 second. Give me one quick second, sorry. This is our Speaker of our honorable, which has now become a dishonorable house under the Saint Lucia Labour Party. This is the Speaker of our house.
But that kind of reticence on the part of Labour Party supporters, fight back! Fight fire with fire! You see me right now? I'm taking them on head on now.
I'm playing you the edited version. No, I want to play you the real version of exactly what he said. Let me get that file. I don't want the edited version. I want the authentic, real version of what he said. Let me get that for you. Let me get that file for you. Okay, I have it here. So this is the unedited, unfiltered version of what our Speaker of the House of Parliament, Claudius Francis, said on his talk show last night.
But that kind of reticence on the part of Labour Party supporters, fight back! Fight fire with fire! You see me right now? I'm taking them on head on now. No more Mr. Nice Guy. You want to interfere with me? And I keep telling you, I don't care. When I'm fighting, if my opponent is a dwarf or a giant, I'm fighting with all the ammunition at my disposal. All. I ain't saying, well, because it's a dwarf, let me use a catapult. And because it's a giant, I'm going to use a bazooka. Dwarf to giant getting bazooka. Because you do not deal with, you know that Baygon you're spraying Baygon to knock out mosquitoes? No. Get rid of them completely. Move the mosquitoes, the irritants. So the time for the gloves are over.
Saint Lucians, I'm going to let you listen to this again because it is a sad and dark day for our country, Saint Lucia. I am going to let you listen to this again. It is a very sad. I'm sorry for the glare on my readers. It has a blue light reducer that it almost creates mirror effect. So I'm sorry, but I'm going to play this again for you to listen to the holders of one of our highest offices of our land, the Speaker of our House of Parliament, threatening Saint Lucians who speak up against his government. Listen to this.
But that kind of reticence on the part of Labour Party supporters, fight back!
Fight back! Fight back! Fight back! This is what our Speaker of our House is telling Saint Lucians. Saint Lucians, we have one of the highest murder rates in the world. We have one of the highest murder rates in the world, shamefully. We have a problem with violence. We have a problem with murders in Saint Lucia. Let's not sugarcoat it. And you have the Prime Minister, first of all, I will come to Philippe Pierre shortly. You have the Prime Minister, Philippe Pierre, asking people to resort to violence. And then you have the Speaker of the House saying fight back. One of the highest murder rates of the world, in the world. We had over 60 murders already for the year. A population of 180,000. We have a problem with violence. We have a problem with conflict resolution in Saint Lucia. And instead these people try to create peace. They're trying to create war just to protect their victory. To protect their jobs and their salaries. They are asking people to fight. Is this the state of our country? And as Saint Lucians, no matter what party you support, is that the narrative that is going to be okay with us? Is that the narrative that we are going to allow in our sweet Saint Lucia, where our leaders, the people that we look up to, the people that hold the highest offices of this land, because of fear and desperation for the jobs and the offices and the salaries they enjoy, they're asking Saint Lucians, they're asking us to fight. To fight with each other. So where are their comments when Philip Pierre was elected, first elected into power, that he would be a prime minister for everybody? When this same Claudius Francis stood up in the house pontificating and grandstanding, showing off and beating his chest because finally he had made it. Where are those words saying that you would be a government for all people? You're asking Labour Party people to take up arms and fight against legitimate concerns, complaints, criticisms, feedback from people who don't agree with you. And some of those criticisms are very well coming from your own camp. As a matter of fact, these are the loudest voices against this government from your own camp. And you are asking people to fight. And don't come and tell me you don't mean it literally. Don't come and tell me you don't mean it literally, Claudius. You know damn well what you're doing. You know damn well what you're doing. Your words are inflammatory. They are meant to incite violence. And that is the history of the Labour Party in Saint Lucia. And those that were there before me in 1979 to 83 know what I'm talking about. Y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. Y'all have the same old communist tactics. Nothing has changed about this Labour Party. All communists, all washed up communists, waiting for a revolution that will never happen. But you know what? Instead of your call to arms, the calls to arms you all used to have back in the day, you know what you all have done? You all have infiltrated our institutions, our civil society organizations, our trade unions, our national trust, our bar association. And yes, Renee St. Rose, I will come to you in a second. You and I sat at the same bench at St. Joseph's Convent. We left convent together. I am disappointed in you, Renee St. Rose, and I will be addressing you too. I am disappointed in this Labour Party government. Your old communist tactics, all revolutionaries, all comrades, waiting for a revolution that will never happen. But instead, you'll employ your old communist tactics to control St. Lucians. I know y'all. I was raised under the Labour Party, not raised by my family. I was recruited by the Labour Party straight out of university. I know all your tactics. I know all your tactics, and I keep warning St. Lucians about your tactics and what you'll do. This is clear as day to me. I see this coming. I see this clear as day. This is a government under pressure. This is a government under pressure. A government without a plan. You got elected without a plan. You got elected on propaganda and lies. And unproven allegations of corruption, which you still have not proven. You all got elected on drips every Thursday of lies and propaganda. Papers being waved about. Where are my papers? Papers being waved about. Ask St. Lucians what on those papers. The Pajoa letter. Ask them what on the Pajoa letter. Y'all got elected on racism, hatred, division, playing on the fears of St. Lucians who were in the throes of COVID, being tried to be kept safe. Y'all played to that. Y'all played to confusion, fake blue wave, fake independent candidates who today are calling protect the victory. You're no longer independent, you're protecting the victory. That's what you all won on. So while you all boast you'll have a 15-2 majority, yes you do. While you boast you have a 15-2 majority, yes you do. But your popular vote, that margin is very thin and very fickle. So you won by 6,000 votes and you know it. A very fickle margin in the popular vote. That if that election was called today, that 6,000 votes reversed long time and you'll know it. You Labour Party knows it. So don't worry, you see you're boasting about 15-2. The margins in those seats are very small. Overall, you are won by 6,000 votes. For less than 50% voter turnout. Overall, only 27% of registered voters voted for this Labour Party. So while you boast and brag, Uped, you lost. You'll know you're not sitting pretty. A government without a plan for Saint Lucia. A government without a vision for Saint Lucia. So you'll have feeling the pressure of Saint Lucians who see that you cannot govern and you cannot deliver. 1 year in, it's over 1 year. July was a year. And what have you got to show for it? Sweet nada. Nothing. That's what you'll have to show for it. Nothing. So you'll have feeling the pressure from your own people. It's not even Flabos making the noise, your own people. The country is hungry. You'll have stopped all projects. Nothing eroding in the country. Unemployment is sky high. Misery is sky high. The lines for Western Union as long as ever. Because people in the diaspora have to put their hand in their pocket and send money home every single month. Not just to friends and family, to people they don't even know, to help out. Because your government you don't have a clue. You do not have a clue how to take this country forward. Inflation is sky high. Yes, you didn't cause inflation. But every country in the world is doing something to help its citizens alleviate it. For months, gas prices were low. All over the world, gas prices were low. You kept the price of gas up. Just last week, you'll offer Saint Lucia 25 cents. Slap in the face and insult. So you're feeling the pressure of a government who cannot perform. And what's your response? You're no longer putting the people first. You're now protecting the victory. You are no longer putting the people first. You are protecting your victory. It is not the people's victory. It is your victory. So you have the Prime Minister going to every single AGM of the Saint Lucia Labour Party and even the Labour Party convention on Sunday and talking about protecting the victory. It's no longer about the people. It's about protecting you all. It is no longer about the people of Saint Lucia. It is about protecting y'all. Your salaries, your jobs, your perks, your benefits, your access to power, your board positions, your diplomatic positions. That's what it's about. Protecting your victory, not the people's victory. You brought Dominica's Prime Minister, Roosevelt Skerrit, to speak at your convention. And if you listen to the words of what he told you, I think Skerrit was there to call out this Labour Party. I think Skerrit came to call out this Labour Party. And as he rightfully told you all, it is not the job of the people to protect your victory. It is your job to protect your victory. And like I always tell you, how do you protect your victory? By performing. You protect your victory by working for the people. And you have not done that. Don't put the responsibility and the burden of to protect your victory on the people. It is your responsibility to protect your victory. But you know Labour Party cannot lead. Labour Party cannot lead. Labour Party is best in opposition. When all you're doing is making noise and causing confusion. That's your role. You cannot govern. Labour Party cannot govern. And that's why I stopped supporting the Labour Party back in 2015. Because you had failed Saint Lucia. Y'all had failed Saint Lucia. That's why when I heard Kenny Anthony stand up in the house today pontificating, he himself. When I heard Kenny Anthony stand up in the house today, you'd swear this man was not the one who resided over the worst economic situation in Saint Lucia in the best of times. When I heard Kenny Anthony stand up today trying to rewrite his legacy. You cannot rewrite your legacy, Kenny Anthony. Your legacy is there. You failed Saint Lucia in the best of times. I was supporting you. I supported you from since 1997, the first time I voted, up to 2015. I supported you in 2011. You know how hard I worked for the Labour Party to see the Labour Party elected. I worked very hard for the Labour Party to see them elected. And in 2015, I could not, in all good conscience, continue to support the Labour Party. I could not. In the best of times, I could no longer make excuses for the Labour Party. Labour Party was still using the global financial crisis of 2008-2009 as an excuse. While all the other countries of the Caribbean and the OCS had moved forward, who were doing well, Kenny Anthony was still using that as an excuse years later for why the country was in the economic quagmire that it was. Remember, Kenny Anthony told us he could not borrow. Our financial house was not in order. There were mass business closures. The highest rate of unemployment ever. Kenny Anthony could not even finish his budget. He passed the first part of the budget. He couldn't even pass the second part. He rushed to call elections. And today you want to stand up in the house and pontificate, Kenny Anthony? Trying to rewrite your legacy? You can never rewrite that legacy. You can never rewrite that legacy. 5-term politician. 5-term politician. They have a church service for you on Sunday, I hear. 5-term politician. What is your legacy in Beaufort South? But today you want to tell people to protect the victory. It's no longer putting the people first. And I hear you trying to twist. All kind of twisting. Lisa Joa here. All kind of twisting to try to explain and justify what protecting the victory means. You're not fooling Saint Lucians. You're not fooling Saint Lucians. You fooled Saint Lucians last year in 2021. You're not fooling Saint Lucians again. Our eyes are wide open. You're not fooling Saint Lucians again. So now you're asking people to take up arms and fight. This is where a sitting government has come to. The lowest of lows. This is the ultimate heights of desperation of a government that cannot deliver. When a government is fighting with its own citizens. When a government is fighting with its own citizens. That should tell you everything. When a government has to resort to fighting with its own citizens, that should tell you everything you need to know about this government. I will continue playing the words of Claudius Francis for you.
Fight fire with fire. You see me right now?
Fight fire with fire. I don't see anybody firing at the Labour Party. I don't see anybody. I see legitimate concerns and legitimate complaints. Fight fire with fire. Fight fire with fire.
But that kind of reticence on the part of Labour Party supporters. Fight back. Fight fire with fire. You see me right now? I'm taking them on head on now. No more Mr. Nice Guy. You want to interfere with me? And I keep telling you, I don't care. When I'm fighting, if my opponent is a dwarf or a giant,
Listen
I'm
to that.
fighting with all the ammunition at my disposal.
Listen to that. Listen to that. He's fighting with all the ammunition at his disposal. And then these Labour Party people, he'll want to come and say tomorrow, he didn't mean that literally. Claudius, you're not fooling me. I grew up under the Labour Party. I was trained in your militant ways. I understand how you all think. And how you all play the two-edged sword. Okay? I understand exactly what you'll do. You'll throw it out there. to incite and inflame people. And you'll say, I didn't say it. I didn't mean it literally. You meant it damn well literally. We have endless illegal weapons in the country. Endless high-powered ammunition in the country. The criminals have more guns and ammunition. More ammunition than the police. More ammunition than the police. The country's under siege. Viewport is under siege. Philippines constituency is under siege. But listen to what Claudius Francis is saying. Because you have to protect Claudius's job. You have to protect Claudius's job. Protect Claudius's victory. You protect Claudius's victory. That's what he's asking you to do there now.
Or giant. I'm fighting with all the ammunition at my disposal. All. I ain't saying, well, because it's a dwarf, let me use a catapult. And because it's a giant, I'm going to use a bazooka. Dwarf to giant getting bazooka. Because you do not deal with, you know, a Baygon you're spraying Baygon to knock out mosquitoes?
Saint Lucians, you have mosquitoes now, eh? The president of the House of Parliament called you all mosquitoes. All of those I was saying, when Alan Chasney made his analogy about barking dogs back or whatever, all of y'all had an issue. All of y'all somewhat had an issue. Let me hear what y'all will say now. Listen to the comments by the Speaker of the House calling your mosquitoes and saying you need to get big on to deal with y'all. That's what y'all who put them there. Y'all who put them there who complaining now. The lady who Jadia say, the Labour Party lady who Jadia say tackled her for half an hour and gave her business rightfully. The people that put y'all there, y'all are now mosquitoes who need big on. This is what this guy, this Speaker of the House, who sits on high and looks down low on y'all, not me, because Claudius Francis can never look down low on me. Mate, he can never look down low on me. Because I'm not afraid of these bullies. I'm not afraid of them. He sits on high and looks down low with his nose turned up. Because the only thing he can ever achieve is when the Labour Party is in government. A total failure. A total failure. What has Claudius Francis shown for his life? A total failure. Yes, I said it, Claudius. I'm not afraid of you. I'm not afraid of you. I am not afraid of you. A total failure. He needs the Labour Party in office for him to ever be anything, because he's achieved nothing in his life in Saint Lucia. And you better don't let me come here for you, Claudius. I know the history of you. Yeah, I know the history of you. I've seen certain papers about you. Don't let me come back here for you. You will think you're a bully? You think you're a bully? Don't let me come back here for you, Claudius. I'm keeping it clean tonight. Don't let me come back here for you. I have seen certain papers about you. Don't let me come back here. You think you're a bully? Want to threaten people? Who are you threatening, Claudius? Who are you threatening? Who are you threatening? Somebody afraid of you?
No. Get rid of them completely. Move them out. They're going to use a bazooka. Dwarf to giant getting bazooka. Because you do not deal with... You ever had Baygon spraying Baygon to knock out mosquitoes? No. Get rid of them completely. Move the mosquitoes, the irritants.
Y'all are irritants.
For the time.
Y'all are irritants.
For the gloves.
Y'all are no longer the people they put in first. Y'all are irritants. Your complaints are irritating them. Y'all are irritants. Irritants, Saint Lucians. That's what we are. Irritant. I'm not laughing, huh? That's how this government sees us. Our legitimate complaints are irritants.
Are over.
This is the Speaker of the House of Representatives, y'all. Trying to bully people and intimidate them into silence. Y'all, let me play. Because it's not just Claudius, you know. All of them are consistent in their communist tactics of silencing dissent. All of them, Ernest Hilaire, Philippe Pierre, Albert Baptiste, all of them are consistent. Richard Frederick, all of them are consistent in their tactics to silence dissent. Let me play Ernest Hilaire for you.
What I have been through, what I'm grateful even today in relation to this vehicle, I have every motivation to go all out after all the players that were involved in what they subjected me to through the last 5 years. And trust me, I'm in a position where I'm in government and I can push that agenda strongly to go.
I am in a position where I'm in government and I can push that agenda to go after them. Listen to this again. Listen closely to Saint Lucia's deputy prime minister. Listen closely to Saint Lucia's deputy prime minister. Say that he can use the power of his office to target his political rivals. Listen closely.
Kali, just think about it. What I have been through, what I'm grateful even today in relation to this vehicle, I have every motivation to go all out after all the players that were involved in what they subjected me to through the last 5 years. And trust me, I'm in a position where I'm in government and I can push that agenda strongly to go after them. Kali, just think about it.
Saint Lucia's deputy prime minister. Deputy prime minister. Saying he can use his office to go after the people who came after him, and rightfully so for that vehicle. Because Ernest Hilaire, you are a damn fraud. You are a damn fraud. You use your position as the UK High Commissioner to defraud the UK government. You use your office to do it. You know damn well you were not entitled to a second duty-free vehicle because you're the first one you bought for your brother. You were entitled to one duty-free vehicle. You gave it to your brother, so you were not entitled to a second allowance. You twist and turn. You corrupted so many people and so many offices of Saint Lucia. So many of Saint Lucia's offices to get away with not paying a little amount of tax. Ernest Hilaire, you should be ashamed of yourself. You had to follow Williams writing to the UK High Commission office to say that he's buying a vehicle when he had already had a duty-free vehicle on his name. They came back and said, you're not entitled to it. They told you, Ernest Hilaire, you're not entitled to it. They told her, Farwell Williams, you're not entitled to it. Albert Fridges, I see your name on documents. I call you all your name. You all think you're bullies? You all think you're bullies? Come for me. Come for me. The documents are there. I'm not afraid of none of you all. The documents are there. To Farwell Williams, you compromised your professional integrity for Ernest Hilaire. Albert Fridges, you compromised your professional integrity for Ernest Hilaire. You all did all of that shenanigans and maneuverings for Ernest Hilaire to save a few thousands of dollars on tax in the UK. When that vehicle came to Saint Lucia, how was that vehicle licensed when there's nothing in the name of Ernest Hilaire? You all compromised the Department of Licensing and the Ministry of Transportation. You all Ernest Hilaire compromised so many offices of the land. So many offices of the land. And you come and talk about you going to use your office to go after people? You are a fraud, Ernest Hilaire! You are a fraud! You've compromised our customs office, our Department of Transportation, and I want to know how that vehicle was licensed. Was it Philippe Pierre who aided and abetted you when he was Minister of Transportation? Was it? What did Albert Baptiste know as Minister of Foreign Affairs? You compromised customs. You are now compromising the Attorney General's office. The Attorney General who was your personal lawyer. All of these people are compromised to cover up for you. And you come and talk nonsense now about how you're going to use your office to go after people? People are afraid of you, Ernest Hilaire? People are afraid of you? Yeah, you're a dirty scoundrel. But there's some Saint Lucians like me who bold enough to not tolerate your nonsense. Yeah, so you want to use your office. I'm going to make you listen to that again.
What I have been through. Kali, just think about it. What I have been through. What I'm grateful even today in relation to this vehicle. I have every motivation to go all out after all the players that were involved in what they subjected me to through the last 5 years. And trust me, I'm in a position where I'm in government and I can push that agenda strongly to go after them.
Today, you have this compromised man sitting in cabinet, and while the case was still ongoing, and the case did not go to fruition, the case was mediated. They removed the acting customs controller and put their guy who will give them who dismissed the charges. The attorney general. You never represented Chico. The CSA, who Peter Chico was paid into for almost 40 years as his union, you'll never represent Peter Chico. But today, you Montrop, you Cyprian Montrop, you in a Labour Party Roro wearing red, and you want to come after civil servants for wearing party colors, and you will there's a picture of you big and bold Cyprian Montrop. You'll never represent Peter Chico. You'll honestly compromise so many offices of Saint Lucia to cover up for his corruption. Dirty scoundrel. You are the Prime Minister going to court with the same Speaker of the House, Claudius Francis, to see that justice was served, that justice was done. Interfering with political interference in judicial processes in Saint Lucia. The Prime Minister, the Speaker of the House, going to court to see if justice was done. And you want to come and talk about corruption? You have no moral authority to talk about corruption. As long as people like Ernest Hillary and others sit down in your cabinet, you have zero. The special prosecutor needs to investigate Ernest Hillary first. And I said what I said. I said what I said. The special prosecutor needs to investigate Ernest Hillary first. And St. Lucians, you are allowed to bring cases to the special prosecutor. They put their special prosecutor there as a witch hunt for UWP. Mind the air fall into the same hole they dig for others. You see Stanley Felix? You see where he is today? Mind this Labour Party. It does not fall into the very hole they dig for others. Because your hands are not clean. This Labour Party has too much corruption on its ranks. Too many corrupt people in their cabinet, starting with Ernest Hillary. I said what I said, Ernest. I said what I said. Take me to court. I said what I said. The documents are there. You are corrupt. And instead of firing Ernest Hillary, you know what Philip Pierre did? He promoted him to Deputy Prime Minister of Saint Lucia. Instead of firing Ernest Hillary, he promoted him to Deputy Prime Minister of Saint Lucia. Corrupt individual. There's more coming on Ernest Hillary. There's more. Because these guys think they can get away with things. You know, sometimes you hear of stars that have lots of money. And they go into stores and they rob. They rob the stores. And you wonder why they do that. They get some kind of thrill over it. They get away with it once and they think they can get away with it again. Ernest Hillary is like that. His legacy at West Indies Cricket Board is there. His legacy at the UK High Commission. This whole involvement with Jufali and the sale of our diplomacy. The sale of our diplomacy is there. This Range Rover scandal is there. And trust me, Ernest Hillary is not going to stop. There's more to come. There is more to come. There is more to come. Because his arrogance and his ego does not allow him to stop. And he believes he can talk his way out of everything. And he believes he can get his duty-free lawyer to come and defend him. And corrupt all the officers of our land to defend and shield him. The longest rope has an end, Ernest Hillary. The longest rope has an end. And your corruption will catch up with you. Tanto. So we have, in addition to Claudius Francis and Ernest Hillary, we have Alva Baptist making statements about people cannot support UWP. Let me see if I have that. Let me see if I have this. Hold on one second. Let me see if I have this. Okay, listen to this.
The period of Flabo.
Listen to Alba Baptist. Listen to Alba Baptist. When I tell you this is an orchestrated thing by this Labour Party to stifle any dissenting views, listen to Alba Baptist.
When we couldn't breathe. When you couldn't get any relief or stay with your party. As we reconstruct the economy of this country and rebuild Saint Lucia and rebuild the lives of the people of Saint Lucia. The Labour Party belongs to you. That is our party. The party of bread, justice, and freedom. If it stumbles and falls, nous pouvons ça. Bal fini, violon ça. The war in Ukraine will not last forever.
Hold on. Listen to Alva again. They're the party of bread, justice, and freedom. Listen, guys, I want you all to understand. Please, I am begging you all to open your understanding. This is the all communist tactics of the Labour Party. Tactics I was trained under the Labour Party in. All communist tactics. That's why I can see them when let me tell you, I can see them a mile away. They ain't fooling me. Listen to the words of this. Listen to the words again.
Getting out of COVID will not last forever.
Yes, Shasney told you all that. Shasney told you all that.
The aircraft of the Labour Party is climbing steadily despite the turbulence.
Let me tell you all, Alva is full of shit. Yes, I said it. Alva is full of shit. A George Odlum wannabe. He talks the talks but can't walk the walk. Alva, you should be ashamed of yourself. You talk a good game, you talk a big game. You don't fool me. I've worked with you on the revitalization of the SLPYO. You lazy as hell. You talk a good game like you George Odlum, but you're not. You're not, because George Odlum was a fighter. You have allowed yourself to be emasculated by Ernest Hille. You yourself said, if you had to put out what you know about Ernest Hille, they'd be shelling in the Labour Party. So don't come and play, George Odlum. Sit down. Sit down. You better talk normal. Stop trying to imitate George Odlum and Velen John. Your words and your drama and your words don't impress nobody because your actions don't back them up. You're a disappointment. You are a disappointment. For a young guy who had so much promise to be a fighter for justice and for what's right, you are a failure. You have allowed yourself to be just satisfied collecting a salary while you have allowed Ernest Hille to run roughshod over you. Yes, I've worked with you on the revitalization of the SLPYO. I know you lazy as hell. Your words don't impress me. They may impress others. You just go up to a mic and talk the endless big words and they impress. I am not impressed if you Ernest Alva Baptist because I know you.
And when we get to level flight, we will now go in the cabin and distribute.
You see, endless words, endless meaningless words that mean nothing. Endless, empty, meaningless words, just grandiose and pontification and just verbal masturbation and just ego, empty words that don't mean anything ultimately to the people of Saint Lucia. Nothing.
Party belongs to us. Saint Lucia belongs to us. And we must ensure that Flabo never reemerges from the ashes of time.
Can you imagine? Can you imagine? These guys are trying to make Saint Lucia into a one-party state. When I tell you about the attempts at dictatorship and the all communist tactics, you all think I'm lying? These guys are trying to make Saint Lucia into a one-party state. And how they do it? They do it by domination of the media, which they have. Do we have a media in Saint Lucia? Do we have a media in Saint Lucia? All the anti-Shasney media that was there before election, where are they? They have gone silent. Or they all have jobs with the new Labour Party. Where's Rihanna Isidore? In the office of the Prime Minister. Where's Miguel Fevrier, PRO of the Ministry of Infrastructure? Where's Crystal Riviere? In the office of the Prime Minister. Where is, what's her name, Tresha? They give her scholarship and they send her abroad. Where's Janika? As for that one, I don't even know what happened to her. A total failure as a journalist. Disappointment. That is the state Saint Lucia has come to. I'll continue playing for you. Head of fools. Head of fools clap. Head of fools clap.
You know there are times nukadi tiku zenu papa nu spleba mediku zenu kamute. My mother. Sa madame. Lemme lever your sweat konti mamay. C'est lui qui était là pour battre pour take care of moi. Si jamais monté by flambeau, il pouille en ça, pas moi. I love my mother, my friends, my relatives. But if you have no respect for me by telling me to come and support UWP because you decide to be a candidate, to take my people into a period of suffering and frustration, you cannot be patriotic, and you cannot love me, and you cannot love Saint Lucia.
Listen to that crap. You know, that upsets the core of me to hear these Labour Party people act as if the only way you could be a patriot is if you support the Labour Party. The only way you could be a patriot if you support the Labour Party. Let me tell you something, Alva Baptist. Nobody loves Saint Lucia more than me. I am a patriot to my bone. That's why I'm here doing this live tonight. And I do not support y'all. Okay? I do not. I supported the Labour Party for many years. And I do not, because I see y'all for what y'all are. That's rubbish. About to be a patriot, you have to be supporting the Labour Party. Where? People, I want y'all to open your eyes to what is happening. And this rhetoric that they keep trying to promote. And people bought into it before the election. I want you to open your eyes and push back on that nonsense, please. You heard them. Oh, I'm a patriot before the election. Oh, I'm a patriot. Even King, he's a patriot. Patriot my ras. You're a patriot what? Patriot what? What have you done for Saint Lucia? What have you done for Saint Lucia, Alva? What has the Labour Party done for Labrie? What has Ken Anthony done for Vivat South? What has Philippia done for Castries East? What? And the only way you could be a patriot is to support the Labour Party. That dirty, nasty, wicked, vindictive, evil, malicious, aggressive Labour Party that has failed Saint Lucia. That's how you become a patriot. That's how you become a patriot. Y'all don't own that word patriot. Y'all do not decide who are patriots. Y'all are out of order. Y'all don't decide who are patriots. Out of order. I'm going to play this for y'all again. Listen to that because I want y'all to push back against that narrative.
Flambeau must never re-emerge from the ashes of time.
So you know how you ensure that, you idiot? You perform. That's how you ensure that, you idiot. You perform. You perform. That's how you ensure that Flambeau never emerges from the ashes of time. But you know what? Flambeau lost by just 6,000 votes. Okay? So if you think you're there comfortably, continue on. That 6,000 votes done reverse already. That 6,000 votes has reversed already. If you want to call election now, you'll know you're losing that election. That's why you're afraid. Zot pair. Okay? Flambeau should never emerge from the ashes. That you want a one-party state.
We can return to the period of Flambeau when we couldn't breathe. When you couldn't get any relief or stay with your party.
We couldn't get any relief? Any relief from what, Alva? Any relief from what? In the midst of COVID, Alan Shastley was able to pay income support. Your promise that people $1,500 you cannot deliver up to now. Relief from what? The people still in misery with the inflation. You cannot deliver. You cannot give people meaningful, tangible relief. Relief from what? In the middle of COVID, Alan Shastley positioned the economy to come at 9% growth that you're trying to take credit for, but you're not stupid. In the middle of COVID, he positioned the country to come back 9% growth. You're trying to take credit for you have not done anything, and you're bragging about the projections. That growth projections, that could never happen. You know why? Because everything shut down. There's no economic activity in Saint Lucia. So we'll see what the real projections are. Don't come and brag about projections. When the reality hits, we'll see what they are. Because the reality is, that all projects have shut down. So don't come and talk about relief. Your relief? What y'all know about relief? Y'all just come and use empty words, a bunch of empty words. Who y'all fooling? Not Minerva Ward. Y'all not fooling Minerva Ward. I know where y'all are. Y'all not fooling me.
We reconstruct the economy of this country and rebuild Saint Lucia and
They reconstruct the economy of Saint Lucia and rebuild Saint Lucia. How? They reconstruct the economy of Saint Lucia and rebuild Saint Lucia. Somebody please tell me how they reconstruct the economy of Saint Lucia. Alva, they asked Alva about GDP. Alva could not even explain GDP the other day. He wants to come and talk about they reconstruct the economy of Saint Lucia and rebuild Saint Lucia. Alva, your government has done nothing in a year. You have nothing to show for your record in government for a year. We should come and y'all reconstruct the economy and rebuild Saint Lucia. How? Y'all, you see the empty words? You see the empty words?
build the lives of the people of Saint Lucia. The Labour Party belongs to you. That is our party.
Flub, so it's flubbo. So it's flubbo.
Justice and freedom.
Register and freedom for who? For y'all, your family, and your little select crew, your little cliques. Yeah, your little cliques. Your little carnival cliques who get all the duty-free concessions for carnival. And while the vendors had to pay for a grill, a cooler, or everything they had. All the bread, justice, and freedom is for your and your little cliques, for your protecting your victories, not other people's victory. The Labour Party, even dead people suffering, they see misery. That's why they had to tell JD for half an hour. Look at the people like Frank Charles, look at their pages. Bread, justice, and freedom? For who? For who?
Stumbles and fall. No puyansa. Balfini. Violonsa. The war in Ukraine will not last forever.
Oh God, y'all just really blame Putin. Eh? Poor job Putin. Y'all just really blame the man. Y'all just really blame things like the war in Russia. Eh? That's your crutch. Y'all just really blame that Russia. Poor Russia. Russia will ask y'all. Russia and Ukraine will soon ask y'all to stop mentioning their names. Because everything is an excuse for y'all.
Getting out of COVID will not last forever.
People, didn't Alan Shastney have 2 years of COVID? 2 years of COVID in the hardest of time when things were shut down. These guys trying to talk about COVID. Everything is reopened. They found a reopened country. They found a country with 9% economic growth. And you come and talk about COVID? Ask Alan Shastney about COVID when everything was shut down. When he had to get the restaurants to deliver food to the underprivileged on a Sunday. When he had to give groceries, when he had to get Nemo to deliver groceries to St. Lucians. When there were no flights coming in, when there were no cruise ships coming in, when he had to negotiate with airlines and cruise ships to get St. Lucians home, when he had to put quarantine centers, when he had to run the patrol boats of the water so people would not come from Martinique. Ask Alan Shastney about COVID. Don't come and talk about COVID. You'll get a reopened country. You'll get a country poised to take off. You'll get a country with endless projects going on, which all stopped. Don't come and talk about COVID, Alva. Puppy show. Nonsense.
And all I can say to you, that the aircraft of the Labour Party is climbing steadily, despite the turbulence.
Climbing steadily where? Where?
To level flights, we will now go in the cabin and distribute to you, my brothers.
Endless bullshit talk. Endless bullshit talk. Endless empty bullshit talk. Means nothing. What does that mean? Endless fluff and bluff, empty words that don't translate into anything on the ground. Anything for the people you're claiming to be putting first. Oh, you're not putting them first anymore. You're protecting your victory. I'm sorry.
And sisters. But the party belongs to us. Saint Lucia belongs to us. And we must ensure that Flabo never re-emerges from the ashes of...
So Saint Lucia belongs to y'all. Saint Lucia belongs to Labour only. You hear that? Saint Lucia belongs to us. And we have to make sure that Flabo never re-emerges from the ashes. That is the narrative of the Labour Party, where Saint Lucia belongs to only the Labour Party. And let me tell you, Alva Baptist. Let me tell you, Philippe. Let me tell you, honestly, I'm pushing back on that. And if I have to come home and put on my boots to come and lead the match, I will. Don't play with me. Do not play with me. Do not play with me. Do not play with me. Saint Lucia belongs to only y'all? Only half of y'all? Where? I was born on Rat Island? Let me tell you, I was born at Victoria Hospital. Saint Lucia belongs to me too, and I'm Flabo. Okay? Saint Lucia don't belong to y'all. Y'all like to think Saint Lucia belongs to y'all. Pure baities. And Flabos, y'all better start pushing back on that. Let me tell you, can't be only a few of us pushing back on that, eh? I'm telling y'all, Flabos, y'all better arise and push back. And not just Flabos. All Saint Lucians who care about their country, the independent Saint Lucians too, who are not party aligned or not party affiliated, y'all better push back on a narrative. This kind of nonsensical narrative that Saint Lucia belongs onto a Labour Party and they alone are entitled to talk and they alone are entitled to eat and they alone are entitled to everything. Y'all better push back on that.
Time. You know, there are times nous gadi ti cousin nous, papa nous play bas, mais ti cousin nous ka monter. My mother, c'est madame. Laisse-moi lever le souhait mon petit maman. C'est lui qui était là pour battre pour take care of moi. Si jamais monter by flambeau, il pouille en ça par moi. I love my mother, my friends, my relatives. But if you have no respect for me by telling me to come and support UWP because you decide to be a candidate, to take my people into a period of suffering and frustration, you cannot be patriotic and you cannot love me.
The suffering and frustration is under the Labour Party. That's where it's under. That's where it's under.
Re-emerge from the ashes of time.
Listen to that nonsense, y'all. Listen to this nonsense. Listen to this nonsense by Alva. But y'all, it's not just Alva and Ernest. Philip Pierre. I don't have the... Let me see if I have that recording right now. I don't have it right now. But you'll remember, Philip Pierre went into the AGM in Soufrière, Emma's AGM, and talked about protecting the victory, and he actually went to their annual conference on Sunday and said it. Labour Party people are too docile. They need to, when they are criticized. So Labour Party think they should not be criticized. You are the government. You will be criticized. If you can't take the heat, get out of the kitchen. If you cannot take the heat, get out of the kitchen. So once they criticize, instead of dealing with the criticism, a legitimate criticism or legitimate complaint, they're telling the Labour Party supporters, go in Flabo's faces and say, you lose. And the Prime Minister went to his annual conference on Sunday in Miku North and talked that garbage. He repeated that utter garbage. The Prime Minister of Saint Lucia. To get in Flabo's face and say you lose. So when people come with legitimate complaints, the response is you lose. When people come with legitimate complaints, say you lose. Well, let me give you a response, Philip Pierre. Let me give you a response.
You win! Go and protect your victory. Low where you got the bag idea. You win! You'll win! You'll won! Labour, you'll won! You'll won! Go and manage the country. You'll won! Zogi! You'll won! You'll won! Labour, you'll won! You'll won! Go and lead Philip Pierre. You won! Stop crying like a little girl. You won! You'll won! You won! You'll won! Leave Alan alone. You won! You'll won! Go and finish the hospital. You won!
That's the response. Simple and easy. Thank you, Marvin Charles. That is the response. Y'all won! Go and work. going to play Marvin Charles again for you all because he said it so well, I don't even need to repeat it.
You win! You win! Go and protect your victory. Lower your candy bag idea. You win! You'll win! You'll won! Labour, you'll won! You'll won! Go and manage the country. You'll won! Zongi! You'll won! You'll won! Labour, you'll won! You'll won! Go and lead Philip Kepia. You won! Stop crying like a little girl. You won! You'll won! You won! You'll won! Leave Alan alone. You won! You'll won! Go and finish the hospital. You won!
Yo, nothing more to add. Nothing. Marvin was spot on. Spot on. Y'all won. Get to work. We don't need to be reminded that y'all won. Every time you go overseas, oh, I won the election. We know you won. Freaking who get to work. Get to damn work, Philippe. We know y'all won. You won. You won. You won. You won. Get to work. Telling some Labour Party they too docile, getting Clubhouse face and saying they lose. But going back to Claudius Francis. Claudius' statements are troubling. Claudius, as Speaker of the House, his statements are troubling. And all Saint Lucians, regardless of party affiliation, need to be legitimately concerned. All Saint Lucians need to be afraid and concerned about the threats, the intimidation, the bullying tactics of Claudius Francis. All. We should be concerned. Claudius Francis has eroded the legitimacy of the office in which he holds. Claudius Francis, as Speaker of the House of Parliament of Saint Lucia, has eroded the legitimacy of the office of which he holds. You cannot be the Speaker of the House of Parliament of Saint Lucia and be making this statement. I'm going to play it again for you all to hear because I need you to seep into your narrative. And when you go to bed tonight, you think about what Claudius said. And when you wake up tomorrow morning, but you think about what Claudius said. Because this is very, very, very serious. I'm going to play it again for you.
But that kind of reticence on the part of Labour Party supporters. Fight back! Fight fire with fire! You see me right now? I'm taking them on head on now. No more Mr. Nice Guy. You want to interfere with me? And I keep telling you, I don't care. When I'm fighting, if my opponent is a dwarf or a giant, I'm fighting with all the ammunition at my disposal. All. I ain't saying, well, because it's a dwarf, let me use a catapult. And because it's a giant, I'm going to use a bazooka. Dwarf to giant getting bazooka. Because you do not deal with... You ever had Baygon spraying Baygon to knock out mosquitoes? No. Get rid of them completely. Move the mosquitoes, the irritants. So the time for the gloves are over.
Claudius, you need to be removed as Speaker of the House. Claudius Francis needs to be removed as Speaker of the House. And I am calling on all Saint Lucians to call for the removal of Claudius Francis as Speaker of the House. You cannot hold that position and be making those statements. You have brought disrepute to the office of the Speaker of the House. You cannot hold the office of Speaker of the House and make and boldly make these statements and think that you will be protected by your office. and the government of the Labour Party. You cannot. And as someone said to me, Claudius Francis has eroded the legitimacy of the office that he holds. People come and go, but the office remains. And he has now eroded its legitimacy. That was a statement Claudius Francis made last night. Today, he presided over the House sitting of our Honorable House of Parliament. And y'all, there was a matter that came up. There are two matters that came up that have to go to the Privileges Committee, where statements that Alan Shasley made were brought to the Privileges Committee. And let me tell you, this Privileges Committee has never met before. There's no record of the Privileges Committee ever meeting. Privileges committees are held in parliaments where there are much larger, 400 people, where there's a measure of independence, a measure of objectivity, a measure of impartiality. That does not exist in the Parliament of Saint Lucia. You have a 15-2 majority. You have a Speaker of the House who has shown that he has zero ability to be impartial. By his own behavior in the House, repeatedly towards the UWP, and by his very statements last night. Zero ability to be impartial. So two matters came before the Privileges Committee of the House. For the first time ever, why do we have a Privileges Committee? I don't know, but obviously there's a very orchestrated move, because I think that part of one of the consequences of being ruled against in the Privileges Committee is that you lose your right to speak. They are going after Alan Shasley to prevent him from being able to speak in the House and represent the people of Mico South. And people of Mico South, if you want to stay down there and accept that, that's up to you. If it was my representative, I would know what to do. If you, the people of Mico South, want to sit down there and be docile and allow the voice of your parliamentary rep to be silenced in the House of Representatives, the House of Parliament of Saint Lucia, that is up to you. But that is exactly what these guys are doing. Two matters brought before the Privileges Committee, a committee that has never been constituted in the history of Saint Lucian's Parliament. Clearly an orchestrated move to silence Alan Shasley, because their 15-2 majority is not enough for them. Their 15-2 majority is not enough for them. They still have to come after Alan Shasley. The man they fear. The man they fear. All guns are targeted at Alan Shasley. Their 15-2 majority is not enough. They still want to silence the voice of one man. They still want to silence the voice of one man. So they went to the Privileges Committee. And let me tell you, you know how that committee going to rule. Let me tell you the two matters. So one of the matters they took to the Privileges Committee. One of the matters. So y'all remember when Richard Frederick went to the US, to the UN. You know how we knew about it? When the same Claudius Francis, the same Speaker of the House, said that Richard Frederick was representing Saint Lucia at the UN. That is who said it. That is who said it. That's how we knew that Richard Frederick went to the UN. And Alan Shasley basically said, congratulations. He hoped that he's able to enjoy his 3 or 4 day visa. Oh, well, Richard Frederick had a fit when he came back. He had a fit. He wants to know how Alan Shasley, he wants to challenge Alan Shasley that he didn't have a 3 or 4 day visa. Show the visa. But let me go back a bit. I want to go back a bit. I want to play the words. You see this whole US visa thing? We have let this stay under the Labour Party has swept this under a rug, and we have let it stay there. And tonight I'm going to bring it back up. That US visa revocation, I am opening that can of worms again tonight. I am opening it again. This was the words of Kenny Anthony, then opposition leader, back in 2011, when Richard Frederick's visa was revoked, when his personal and diplomatic visas as a sitting government minister were revoked. These are the words of Kenny Anthony.
The main opposition Saint Lucia Labour Party considers the revocation of the housing minister's US visa a national concern. SLP spokesperson J.D. Emmanuel says the party is alarmed by attempts from the ruling party to belittle the issue. The SLP spokesperson considers that while visitor visas are revoked on a regular basis, the revocation of a diplomatic visa calls for explanation. Further, a speedy investigation is needed into the matter.
Mr. Frederick should explain why he did not ask for reasons at the time he claims to have called the embassy to confirm that his visas had been revoked. Prime Minister King must not use his usual delay tactics by suggesting that he has asked our mission in Washington to investigate the reasons for such drastic action by the US against a member of his cabinet.
Emmanuel and the Saint Lucia Labour Party also criticized the Prime Minister's handling of the issue. She says the Prime Minister has greater access to information and should seek clarification from the US authorities so he can in turn explain to the populace. The statement went further to call for the removal of the Housing Minister and Castries Central MP.
The implications of this matter are far-reaching. The name and reputation of our country are at stake. Every Saint Lucian citizen living at home or abroad has every right and reason to be concerned. Prime Minister King must act now. As Prime Minister, he needs to do the right thing for the good of this nation and remove Richard Frederick or call the elections immediately.
The Saint Lucia Labour Party has also requested an explanation from the Prime Minister in relation to Janine Compton Antoine's 2008 investigative trip to Barbados. The Mico North MP says she went to Barbados during what was a leadership struggle within the ruling UWP government on the behest of the Prime Minister. There she met with US officials, including the FBI and CIA, where External Affairs Minister Rufus Busquet and the Housing Minister were discussed. Sant Justin, HTS News, Channel 4.
Yo, that was Kenny Anthony and J.J. Japierre back in 2011. And let me tell you something, they were very right. They were absolutely right to call for the resignation of Richard Frederick as a government minister. You cannot have your diplomatic and personal visas revoked by the US, a sitting government minister. Let me tell you something. And they, the Labour Party, highlighted, and rightfully so, the reasons why the US will revoke a US visa. Drug trafficking, money laundering, and they listed the things. I don't have the ad with me right now, but the Labour Party provided it. They were right to call for the resignation of Richard Frederick back in 2011. They were absolutely right. The US does not revoke your visa for no reason. Richard Frederick is a person of question. He's a questionable character. And we know it. Y'all, Saint Lucians, don't act like y'all don't know it. Don't be vicious and vicious. Y'all know it. We all know it. The US knows it. Kenny Anthony knows it. Kenny Anthony said, I know what you know, and I know what I know, and you know what I know, and we all know it. Philippia, you know it too. So let me explain. So back in 2011, they called for Stephenson King to remove Richard from cabinet. But in 2021, they have put this man into their cabinet in 2021 without a word of explanation to Saint Lucians as how in the world they moved from this position I just played for y'all back in 2011 to where they are now in 2021, 2022. No explanation to the citizens of Saint Lucia for why their position changed. Has anything changed? Has he gotten his visa back? Has anything changed? Has he been able to get his visa back? No word to the population of Saint Lucia as to why their position has changed from what Kenny Anthony said in 2011 to where they are now. Not a word. Not a word from this government. The utter disrespect to us Saint Lucians. The utter disrespect, disregard, disdain for us. That is how this government treats us Saint Lucians. Today, they have a man sitting in the House of in their cabinet whose US diplomatic and personal visas were revoked. And on top of that, this government has the audacity to embarrass Saint Lucia. To embarrass Saint Lucia by applying for a visa they give to personas non grata, the world's rejects, to enter the UN. Despots. The government of Saint Lucia has the guts to embarrass Saint Lucia and its citizens like me at home and abroad by applying for this sort of visa for somebody the US told you repeatedly they don't want on their soil. His own daughter requested from the US, she's a US citizen. His own daughter asked about the visa, and the US told her straight off, he will never get his visa back. The US is very clear with her, and they told her the reasons why a US visa is revoked, a personal and diplomatic visa is revoked. Yet this government of the Saint Lucia Labour Party will embarrass Saint Lucia and all Saint Lucians at home and abroad, and we should be ashamed to go and apply for a visa. I call it, you know what? People call it a UN visa. I call it a persona non grata visa. A persona non grata visa. A persona non grata visa. You embarrass Saint Lucia. And what reason did Richard Frederick have to be at the UN? You're not Minister of Foreign Affairs. You're Minister of Housing. What did you go and do there? What? To go and pose with Minister Rambali? What reason did you have to be there as Minister of Housing? Up to now, this government has not had the courtesy and respect for us Saint Lucians to explain to us. This is the utter disregard, disrespect, and disdain this government treats us with. Back in 2011, you told us that the then sitting Prime Minister, Stephen King, should have removed him from his cabinet because his US diplomatic and personal visas were revoked. Today, you'll have him sitting in your cabinet. And on top of that, you embarrass my country by applying for a persona non grata visa for somebody who has no business being at the UN for him to be there. You know, you are a shameless government. You are a shameless government. And Richard Frederick today has a nerve to talk about he taking Chastney to the Privileges Committee because Chastney said he hopes he enjoys 3 or 4 day visa. You are so irate because you say you get your visa back. Show the damn visa. Show the visa. Show it. You on your show every Thursday flashing documents. Show the visa. Flash your documents. Show it. Show the visa. I can show you my visa. I don't need one, but I have one in my Saint Lucian passport. I can show it to you. Show yours. Show yours. Show yours. It's very simple. Up to now, the Saint Lucia Labour Party government has not explained how their position has changed. And the somewhat Labour will say, oh, you don't need a visa to be in the cabinet. Well, we know that. That was never the issue. The issue was why it was revoked in the first place. Don't pretend you don't understand what the issues are. Don't pretend you don't understand what the issues are. And the other issue, they want to bring Chastney before the Privileges Committee because they had, let me tell you, all of this is well orchestrated. All of this is well orchestrated by the Speaker of the House, Claudius Francis, and the Labour Party government, which he doesn't even try to pretend to have any level of impartiality about. Because Chastney said he has a joint account with Wally Jufali. Well, you did, Ernest Hilaire. You did. There was an account held outside of the rules of Saint Lucia's government. You opened an account in the UK, held in the name of the Saint Lucia High Commission, and the 2 signatories were you and Jufali. And that account was outside the purview of the Accountant General. against the finance rules of Saint Lucia, outside of the auditing ability of the accountant general. So don't come and pretend you didn't. And your argument is an account held in it wasn't in both of your names, it was both two signatories. It was a joint account. It was outside of the finance rules of the government of Saint Lucia. You were doing whatever the hell you wanted as UK High Commissioner. That account was not subject to the scrutiny of the accountant general. Because the accountant general was not aware of the account. You and Jufali opened an account for God knows what. And if you could do all of that to evade a few thousands of pounds in taxes, God alone knows what else you could have done. God knows what else you could do in this trip to make it up and down to Nigeria and Dubai. And Saint Lucians, you all need to keep an eye on Ernest Hilaire. I'm warning you all. I am warning you all. You all need to keep an eye on Ernest Hilaire. Them trips Ernest Hilaire make it up and down to Nigeria and to Dubai in the name of CIP. You all need to watch Ernest Hilaire. You all need to watch the authorized agents going with him. You all need to watch the people who are heading CIP. I am warning you all, Saint Lucians. You all see Nestor Alfred was removed and they put in who they want to do their bidding. You all need to be watching all of them. I am warning you, Saint Lucians. Watch from the head of CIP. Watch up, watch down, watch sideways. That organization has been compromised. CIP, Saint Lucia, has been compromised. And God alone knows what is happening to our passports and what deals they're making under the table. We all know about what's happening in Dominica. We all know the level of corruption that is happening in Dominica, the sale of their passports. And I put it to you, the same is happening in Saint Lucia. I put it to you, the same is happening in Saint Lucia. You all need to watch what is happening in the sale of our passports. You see them trips that are going up and down to Dubai and Nigeria. I am warning you all, Saint Lucians. I am warning you all. Those of you all that need visas to travel. Thankfully, I have a second citizenship. But I am warning you all. You're the ones who will suffer. Those of you all who don't have dual citizenship who have to go and apply for a visa. You see what the US is doing already? You'll have to wait 2 years for an appointment for the US embassy. That is visa diplomacy because the US is upset about what is happening in Saint Lucia. That is deliberate. That is visa diplomacy because they are very upset with what is happening in Saint Lucia. You all need to open your eyes with what is happening to our passports and what is happening to our CIP and what is going on behind the scenes. Saint Lucians, I am asking you all to keep your eyes open and vigilant. If a man could do all that to evade a few £1,000s on a vehicle, what the heck more he will not do? Our diplomacy was sold to the highest bidder. Saint Lucia's name was dragged through the mud in the UK press. We got to know it on the front page of the UK newspapers when his wife was suing him. That's how we got to know it. Embarrassing Lucia over and over and over and over and over and over again. And always believe he can get away with more and more and more and more and more. You all need to open your eyes. So there's the two matters that go into the Privileges Committee. A US visa that shall say, I hope you enjoy your 3-day visa that my partner hit the roof for. Come and show your real visa. And a joint account with Jufali. But let me tell you, despite the fact that what Shah said is 100% right, you can guarantee he will not get fair treatment in the Privileges Committee. He will not get it. He will not get it under this Speaker of the House. Like I said, the Privileges Committee requires a level of objectivity, impartiality, and independence. But remember, this Labour Party government had said the fight is between them and the Chasnays. There is a target on Alan Chasnay's back. There is a target. He is their target. He's their personal target. So listen to what's going to happen. So Ernest Hilaire and Frederick have to take turns judging each other. Could you imagine? Ernest Hilaire has nominated Frederick to be the judge for his matter, and Frederick has nominated Ernest Hilaire to be the judge for his matter. Could you imagine? What do you think the outcome is going to be? And who has final decision? The same Speaker of the House. What do you think the outcome is going to be for Alan Chasnay? No, seriously, what do you think? You think he's going to get a fair deal? You think he's going to get a fair deal? This is orchestrated to silence Alan Chasney in the House. This is orchestrated to silence any voice of opposition, whether in the House or by the people of Saint Lucia. This government is communist. This government is becoming a dictatorship. Y'all, this is not by accident, you know. This is not by accident. Labour Party does not do anything by accident. This is all orchestrated. Take my word for it. This is all orchestrated. I trained under them. This is orchestrated. I'm gonna read, just give me a second. I'm gonna read something for you. Hold on, let me get it. This article was written by Rick Wayne in the Star in August of 2022. That's when the whole issue of these two matters going to the Special Privileges Committee came up. Let me get to the part. So I'll read parts of it for you. And this article is written by Rick Wayne in the Star. It is conjectural just how many Saint Lucians had heard of the Committee of Privileges before the MP for Castries Central, Richard Frederick, announced to the local media his intention to take Alan Chasney before the panel, allegedly for attempting to mislead Parliament at an earlier sitting. The charge stems from comments by the Meekwood South MP in relation to the Speaker's excuse for Frederick's absence from the House meeting at which the Firearms Amendment Act was debated. He was on government business in the United States. His tongue doubtless buried deep in cheek, the leader of the opposition, Alan Chasney, had offered his best wishes to the absent MP, his long-standing arch-enemy, with whom Chasney has for some 5 years been embroiled in unresolved court battles. He also congratulated Frederick on having persuaded U.S. immigration to lift his persona non grata status imposed on him shortly before the 2011 general elections, when Frederick was still a minister of the Stephenson King administration. Chasney said he hoped Frederick would take full advantage of his 3 or 4 day visa, which he said was similar to those granted to despised foreign government leaders such as Gaddafi and Castro, when in their time they needed to attend meetings on behest of the United Nations, which operates as an embassy with extraterritorial rights. There were no objections. Listen. There were no objections in the House when Chasney made that statement. There were no objections to anything Chasney said in relation to the highly controversial subject of Frederick's relationship with the U.S. authorities, not from the attendant government MPs and not from the Speaker, Claudius Francis. So when Chasney said that, nobody said anything. And remember, Claudius is the one who informed the House that Richard Frederick was on his way to attend the UN. And he said it very boastfully because, it's something, in their mind, it's something good. In their mind, they think they win some kind of victory by having Richard Frederick embarrass Saint Lucians by getting a persona non grata visa to a... Could you imagine my country? The US tell you many times they don't want you. You're going and get a persona non grata visa for Richard Frederick to the UN. And Claudius Francis come and boast in the House. When Chasney come and say he hope he take full advantage of the 3 or 4 day visa, you vex. You mad. No objections when Chasney said that from any of the MPs on the government side or the Speaker, none. At the start of the August 9th session, when the House debated the appointment of a special prosecutor that some consider the equivalent of a hitman for the government, which it is, the Speaker announced that he had received from the Castries Central MP a motion declaring his intention to take the Meekwood South MP before the House Privileges Committee. The motion was not properly laid out, the Speaker said. Consequently, he had issued certain instructions to the petitioner, and upon receipt of the remedied motion, would convene a meeting of the Privileges Committee for consideration of the MP's concerns. The Speaker did not say why he had not set the Mico South MP right, because he should have done that. In the moment, he should have set the Mico South MP right, if indeed his comments on Frederick's surprising visit to the US had been out of order. He did not. There was also no word as to how the Mico South MP could have misled the House, in which all but 2 members were informed, cabinet colleagues of. There was also no word as to how Mico South MP could have misled a House in which all but 2 members were informed cabinet colleagues of Richard Frederick. In all events, one may ask, what constitutes deliberately misleading Parliament? What is the burden of evidence required to establish somebody's state of knowledge at the time the remarks were made? The Ministerial Code, the rules over which cover all ministers, is explicit that knowingly misleading Parliament in a resignation matter, with words repeating verbatim the terms of Commons motion from 1997 asserting this rule. However, it remains up to the Prime Minister to enforce the code. The Privileged Committee is cross-party, normally chaired by the leader of the opposition in the UK. In the UK, it's normally chaired by the leader of the opposition. In Saint Lucia, it has never been composed. There is no template for it, there's no model for it. So Claudius Francis is basically making up the rules as he goes, with some guidance from what the Constitution says right now. But let me tell you, rest assured, Chasney will not have a fair trial under this Privileges Committee. What is going on there is an attempt to silence him. From all I've been able to uncover, the promised imminent convening of a Privileges Committee, should it materialize, will be the first for Saint Lucia Parliament. For while a Committee of Privileges is among 13 others listed in standing orders, the only other reference to it is on page 35 of the booklet, wherein it stated they shall be referred to the Committee of Privileges any matter which appears to affect the privileges, the power or privileges of the House, and it shall be the duty of the committee to consider any matter and to report thereon on the House. The booklet does not address the process by which MPs are brought before the Committee of Privileges. I think you should get your hands on that article by Rick Winning the Star. It was in August. Let me see if there's any other parts of this that are important. Let me see, hold on. So the other issue, so I've talked about Claudius' statements, I've talked about Philip Pierre's statements, I've talked about Alva's statements, all with an attempt to intimidate and to silence any dissenting voices. This is an orchestrated move by this government to silence any criticism, any form of criticism. I've spoken about what they're trying to do to silence Chasney under the Privileges Committee. Despite the fact that what he said was the truth, he will not get fair due process under this committee. He will not. He will not. And let me read what due process is for you. Hold on one second. Natural justice. The 3 main requirements of natural justice that must be met in every case are 1, adequate notice, 2, fair hearing, and 3, no bias. Adequate notice. Was Chasney given that? You could argue yes. You could argue yes. The matters will be heard. I think they said October 20th and October, I think the week after. So in that one, yeah, I could say yes. Fair hearing. Do you think Alan Chasney is going to receive a fair hearing when the committee is composed of people in the House with a 15-2 majority? Do you think they are going to, any of those on the Labour side are going to rule for him? No matter if his case is 100% right, we see that these guys have all their guns blazing, pointed at Alan Chasney. They have told you that the elections have been about the Chasney family. Alan has a target on his back. Do you think he's going to get a fair hearing? Ernest is going to judge Richard's matter. Richard is going to judge Ernest's matter. Alan is not able to judge his matter. Bradley cannot judge thing because he's already a member of the privileges committee. Do you think he's going to get a fair hearing? Ultimately, Alan Chastain's voice is going to be silenced in the House. Miku South is not going to have a voice in the House. And we Saint Lucians accepting that. And the third one is no bias. I played the speakers of the House's statements to you from last night. Tell me if there's no bias in that speaker of the House. In everything you'll have seen Claudius say and do. Claudius behaving more like a hack than the other hacks. Claudius is more of a Labour Party hack than the other hack. Claudius playing more politics than the politicians themselves. It's as if he's trying to earn his worth to the Labour Party. So hot. Claudius is more politician than the Labour Party politicians themselves. He is trying to earn his worth to the Labour Party. The man is not even trying to pretend to have some kind of level of objectivity. And you're Speaker of the House. And Saint Lucians will be sitting down there accepting that we ain't hit the streets yet. We have come out in protest yet. We are allowing our democratic rights to be stifled. Our voices to be stifled. Our freedoms to be stifled. And we sit down there accepting that. We truly are a docile people. I'm going to play something for you. Just give me a second. Let me get it.
That in the matter involving the statement made by the member from Miku South in relation to the member for Castries Central, that a prima facie case had been made for the matter to be heard by the Committee on Privileges, and I now appoint Thursday, the 20th of October 2022, at 10 o'clock in the forenoon for that hearing. In relation to the matter involving the allegations made by the member from Miku South against the member for Castries South, I rule that a prima facie case has also been made for the matter to be dealt with by the Committee of Privileges, and advise that the hearing in this matter will take place on Tuesday, the 25th of October 2022 at 10 o'clock in the forenoon. The Clerk of Parliament is instructed to issue the notice and summons by Thursday, 13th October 2022. She is also to meet with all the parties involved to determine which, if any, witnesses either party wishes to summon. Once the committee has concluded its business and prepared a report, I shall summon a meeting of the full House to hear the contents of the report and, if necessary, to debate and rule on its recommendations. Member for Castries South, because you cannot be a judge in your own cause, you shall recuse yourself from the hearing scheduled from Tuesday, 25th October 2022, and I will call upon you in a while to name an alternate to the committee.
Listen to this. Listen to this.
Considering it is only one other member on his side, who is already a member of the committee, it is therefore not possible for the member from Miku South to name a replacement.
Listen to this.
Member for Castries South, please name your alternate for the record.
Mr. Speaker,
listen.
I wish to nominate Honorable Richard Frederick to replace me for that particular committee meeting.
Just heard there from the MP for Castries South, Dr. Ernest Elaine, at committee meeting, nominating the MP for Castries Central to represent him, since I think he himself, Dr. Ernest Hilaire, is a member of the Privileges Committee, and the MP for Miku South, former Prime Minister Alan Chasney, cannot have an alternate representative because that individual is Mr. Bradley Felix, who is a member of that committee. So the committee will be hearing those two matters October the 20th and October the 25th, respectively. Now, we have those committees and...
Yo, that is what our house, our honorable House of Parliament has descended into. A circus under this Labour Party government and Claudius Francis. This is what our House of Parliament has descended into under this Labour Party government and Claudius Francis. Yes, I said it. Big bully. You think people are afraid of you? You think people are afraid of you, Claudius? You think people are afraid of you? Y'all, the other way, and I'm asking y'all to open your eyes. The other way this government is employing its communist tactics of dictatorship is that CCJ matter without a referendum. I am warning Saint Lucians to open your eyes. Okay? I am not saying the government cannot go to the CCJ. Listen to me clearly. The government cannot go to the CCJ or should not go to the CCJ without public education on the topic, without public consultation on the matter, and without taking it to a referendum. This government is using its 15-2 majority to do what it wants with the people of Saint Lucia without your permission to go to the CCJ, without taking it to the vote. And we're sitting back and accepting that. We're sitting back and allowing that. This Labour Party, it was not even a political platform issue in the last campaign. If it was, I could say, okay, Saint Lucians knew that if they had won, they would go into the CCJ. It was not. It was not a political platform or campaign issue in the last election. After they won to go to the CCJ without the approval of Saint Lucians, without taking it to a referendum, and we're going to sit down like a docile sheep and accept that? How? How, Saint Lucians? We're not rising up and protesting? We're not rising up and protesting. We sit down like docile sheep, accepting that going to the CCJ without asking, without consulting the people of Saint Lucia, because you don't think you'll have a 75% majority in the House. Less than 27% of the registered voters of Saint Lucia voted for y'all. Y'all won the election by 6,000 votes. Your popular vote is marginal. And that margin hasn't even flipped. The 6,000 votes y'all won by, y'all no longer have it. Y'all no longer have it. And y'all think y'all can use your 15-2 majority and just do whatever the hell y'all want with Saint Lucians? And we are docile sheep who will accept it? Where are the lawyers? Renee St. Rose. Yes, I said I was going to talk about you. Drink my water. Renee St. Rose. You. In 2020, when Alan Chasney was trying to keep Saint Lucians safe and manage our health and our lives and keep the protocols, the COVID Protection Act that he tried to pass, in fact he passed it, on the eve of the passage of that bill, you know what you dishonestly and deviously did, Renee? As president of the Bar Association, you pretended to represent your members. Your members didn't even know of the letter you were writing. Yeah, Renee, you and I sat at convent together in the same year at convent. I'm disappointed in you. You have no ethics. You have no morals. You have no principles. You have no integrity, Renee. Just before the bill was passed, a bill to keep Saint Lucians safe. A bill to keep Saint Lucians safe. You wrote a letter on behalf of the Bar Association that your members were not even aware of, saying you need consultation. How could they pass a bill without consultation? A measure to keep people safe in the middle of a pandemic, when things are moving so quickly and you need to respond quickly. Today, this government is rushing to go to the CCJ. For what? For what? What is the urgency? Without any level of public education or public discussion or public consultation, without a vote, without a referendum on the matter, and you, Rennie St. Rose, say nothing? You, Rennie St. Rose, say nothing! Today, you are on the committee for the CCJ. Renee, you should be ashamed of yourself. You have sold your soul at the altar of political, I don't even know what. I don't even know what. I don't even know what, Rennie. But the same principles you should have had for the COVID bill, you should have for this matter, the CCJ. The COVID bill was urgent in serving people's lives. There's nothing urgent about the CCJ. And we have to ask ourselves, what is the rush to go to the CCJ without consulting St. Lucians? Your guess is as good as mine, but I can tell you what mine is. Philippe knows damn well he will accomplish nothing in his 5 years. He will accomplish nothing in his 5 years. This is about his ego and his legacy. So wait for it, St. Lucians. He intends to take St. Lucians to the CCJ without their approval, without their consent, without their public education, without their consultation, without their referendum. He intends to take Saint Lucia, my country of which I'm a citizen, to the CCJ. He intends to make Saint Lucia a republic because he wants these two things under his belt as Prime Minister, because he would have accomplished nothing else. That is the rush. Ego. Ego, number one. Number two, I've told you the Labour Party plays the long game. The Labour Party plays the long game. They put systems in place. They infiltrate institutions. They put their people in key positions. So when they need them 10, 20, 30 years down the line, they are in place. That CCJ move is to protect the Labour Party. If ever this government has to be brought before the final court of appeal, that is what this is about. So while people are hungry, while people have gotten no relief from inflation, while people are waiting for their income tax returns, while people are waiting for their $1,500, while all projects have stopped and unemployment is sky high, while tourism is underperforming, while there's nothing going on in the country, this government makes it a priority to go to the CCJ. That's how they're putting you first. And St. Lucians, we sit there like docile sheep accepting that.
Because it's unlikely any of this is going to affect Rick Wayne and his personal matter. But it is very likely it is going to affect the average Joe in this country. It was all those decisions that have been taken there that are, I mean, you have a Speaker of the House on a show having the gumption to tell people that right now, as a member of the Labour Party, a leading member of the party, he's fed up with people attacking the Labour Party, and now any dwarf has attacked him on the basis of the Labour Party, or while he's coming up with his bazooka, which is a borrowed line anyway. But the Speaker of the House is venting on a show and boldly telling the population, in effect, you mess with me about the Labour Party, and we are going to attack.
So when was that comment made?
Last night.
Wow, okay.
And he's going to attack. He's no more Mr. Good Guy. I mean, that takes a lot of gonads to do that when you're Speaker of the House. But I have no doubt we'll be hearing a lot more because I will become a very dangerous target. I know, I anticipate it, and I'm waiting for them with, and that's not a threat, it's a promise. They will be dumb enough to figure, let's go after Rick Wayne. And boy, but I'm not doing it for the people of Saint Lucia. I am doing it because I am not going to stand foolishness in my own personal life in any respect. But I'm putting Saint Lucians on guard. Don't look for Rick Wayne anymore to be sticking his neck out on your behalf. Get up your butt and stick yourself out for your
Get up your butt, Saint Lucians.
That's what I stand for, what I don't stand for. None of your goddamn business. It's what you stand for that matters in the final analysis. And I'm almost tempted to say to them, screw you all for tolerating mediocrity and making it part of your everyday lives. Thank you, Tim.
Thank you so much. The broadcast will continue.
Y'all, my final words is exactly what Rick Wayne said. My final words are exactly what Rick Wayne said. If you want to accept mediocrity and allow yourselves to be targeted, like Claudius Francis said he's going to target, even Rick Wayne said he's going to become a target. Let me tell you, I have been the target of the Labour Party from 2015. From the time I stopped supporting them, I have been the target. They have said all kinds of nasty lies about me. The worst, the vilest of things to get me to shut up. I will not be silenced. I will not. They have tried to target my job in Canada, and I expect that they will continue. And I will not be silent. I will not. I will not be silent. You can try anything under the book. I will not be silent. When it comes to matters of my Saint Lucia and ensuring our democratic principles are upheld, I will not be silenced. I will not cower. I will not intimidate. I will not be bullied. Claudius Francis say you bring gloves? Bring gloves? I have my gloves. I have my gloves. I am not afraid of any of you Labour Party bullies. None. There's no man I fear that on this earth. I fear God and God only. I fear God and God only. I will not be bullied into silence and intimidation. You see what Rick Wayne said? Rick Wayne has been a journalist at the forefront of our politics for decades. And Rick Wayne saying he knows that they're going to come after him. They're going to target him. Rick Wayne is fed up with how docile Saint Lucians are. And I'm fed up too. I'm fed up that there's so few of us come on and speak. I'm fed up that so many people are hiding in the back. Hiding in the back. I'm fed up that you have allowed the Labour Party to put fear in you all. I am fed up. Stand for something. Stand for something. My final words are what Rick Wayne said. Let me play it again. Let me play Rick Wayne again. Because after Rick Wayne, you have nothing I need to say. Let me play him again.
People attacking the Labour Party, and now any dwarf has attacked him on the basis of the Labour Party or what, he's coming up with the bazooka, which is a borrowed line anyway. But the Speaker of the House is venting on a show and boldly telling the population, in effect, you mess with me about the Labour Party and we are going to attack.
So when was that comment made?
Last night.
Wow, okay.
And he's going to attack. He's no more Mr. Good Guy. I mean, that takes a lot of gonads to do that when you're Speaker of the House. But I have no doubt we'll be hearing a lot more because I will become a very dangerous target. I know, I anticipate it, and I'm waiting for them with, and that's not a threat, it's a promise. They will be dumb enough to figure, let's go after Rick Wayne. And boy, but I'm not doing it for the people of Saint Lucia. I am doing it because I am not going to stand foolishness in my goddamn business. It's what you stand for that matters in the final analysis. And I'm almost tempted to say to them, screw you all for tolerating mediocrity and making it part of your everyday lives. Thank you, Jim.
Thank you so much. The broadcast will continue.
Saint Lucians, you have to know what you want to do, okay? I will leave you all by popular demand. I will leave y'all. Saint Lucians, y'all have to know what y'all need to do. Okay? And I'm speaking to Flubbos alone. I'm speaking to all Saint Lucians who are concerned about the erosion of our rights, our civil liberties, our ability to speak how we want, our ability to hold this government accountable. I am speaking to all Saint Lucians, and I'm asking you to rise up against this nonsense happening under this Labour Party. This slippery slope of going down a precipice of dictatorship, I am asking you to stand up against it. And to this government who are still pinching yourself that you're one, I am leaving you all with this.
You win! Go and protect your victory. You win! You'll win! You'll won! Labour, you'll won! You'll won! Go and manage the country. You're one. Zangi, you're one. You're one. Labour, you're one. You're one. Go and lead Philip Pierre. You won. Stop crying like a little girl. You won. You're one. You won. You're one. Leave Alan alone. You won. You're one. Go and finish the hospital. You won.
Saint Lucians, it's in our hands. The fate of our country is in our hands. The fate of our democracy is in our hands as Saint Lucians at home and abroad. We need to take a collective stance against this government. We need to take a collective stance against this government and the path that they have Saint Lucia on. It's a very dangerous path where they are asking Saint Lucians to take up arms and to fight against each other, when they are eroding into our rights to speak and to hold them accountable. We need to take a collective stance against this government. I am watching to see what others will do. I am doing my part from Canada. And let me tell you, I sure as hell will put on my boots and come home to march against this government. Saint Lucians at home and abroad, wherever you are, listen to the sound of my voice. You better get up, arise from your slumber, and stop that docile sheepishness and push back on this very dangerous government. Good night, Saint Lucia.